This will be lecture 5 for Management PhD 401. So here we look at human resources, and in these human resources we look at the salary, employment contract, the recruitment and selection process, the management of payouts, and tax management. And then also financial plan, you look at your business plan, your budget, your medium-term expenditure framework, your austerity measures, marketing plan, expenses, and tax. So in your operation plans, you have something called an annual operation plan or a business plan. And your operation plan sets out to what the service you're offering at the clinic or the CHC, who will deliver these services, when will the services be delivered, how will the services be monitored and evaluated to see if it meets the objectives. So in the physiotherapy management of the hospital setting, you need great leadership and planning, you need staff management, finance, organization of service, so quality and client satisfaction, the equipment and facility, and also information and the documentations. So what about patient management? So these case studies you can have a look at, which talks about how you can manage a patient based on the scenario linked to the hospital. And then we're looking at time management of private patients. So in your private patients, you got costs. It is private, so you want to look at your medical aid and also appointments that are made by the patient for convenience of the patient. And then the reputation of the patient directly affects the income. And obviously, time is money. But in the government sector, you kind of have the medical attention is free. So therefore, there's a lot of increase in workload, and then patients don't really get held responsible for their financial debts, and then patients also are seen as convenience of the health profession. So it's first come, first serve. Therefore, making time management very important. Right. So patients from poor socioeconomic status aren't really liable to pay for their medical services. Non-disclosure of monthly income and time management is vital to provide a good and effective service. This we obviously know coming from CHC and government hospitals. Okay, so in terms of patient assessment, it's still the same. You'll do your subjective, your objective, your referral for further management, and also if you can't manage the patient properly, it will result in a poor and inefficient service. This going against one of the main principles of being effective. Okay, then moving on into your private practice management. Maybe some of you guys are thinking of starting a private practice. I know the assignment really looks at doing the website and all. Don't know if that got you guys excited in starting your own practice, but just to get you guys a better idea that starting a practice does include a lot of financial constraints. Okay, so why you want to open a practice? So you could start it to make money, or if you think the practices around the areas are not at a good service, and also to improve the reputation of yourself, and maybe there's an opportunity in the market. So factors to consider. I know you guys already did the assignment, so you guys would know that there's profitability, the business location, the scope of practice, the budget, the medical aid or cash practice, staffing, and supply and demands. So it's not really all about the money. There's also a bit of patient come first, because we are about the patient at the end of the day. So what we have is we first have the income, we have to minus all the expenditures or your consumable costs, and that equals your profit. So if you always think about success, you'll get success, but you need to have a backup plan if things doesn't work. Right. So when starting a practice, it's important to look at location, because you don't want to be located in a semi-rural area to start your practice. That will kind of defeat the point. And also looking at what the popularity needs, what the population needs, and also what the service needs. Then we look at is it accessible, and then following by ethics. So in the scope of practice, we made you guys go through what you can say and what you can't say in terms of advertising. So you can't false advertise, and you need to follow the legal guidelines of HPCSA. And then the marketing strategy, you got information sharing, the self-brand and target market. So you have to look at that because you end up selling yourself, so you are the product. And then budgeting. Why is it important? Because you actually want to get a brief understanding of what the income is that you're going to get. What are your possible incomes? What are your actual incomes? Your overhead costs, staff, rent, tax, etc. Then there are other costs involved. So legal costs such as your SAPS, SASP cost, your insurance that you have to buy, your professional insurance, and then your equipment insurance, and then your staff and the benefits and all of that that you have to consider. Then medical aid or not. So as you know, with your major medical aid schemes, they will have these savings plans as well that you can claim back from. That normally practices charge a little bit more when they have to claim back compared to when it's cash. So they give a bit of a discount if it's cash. So, but that's because you don't have to go through the admin of putting in codes like ICD-10 codes, and also your hospital plan codes. And then staffing, a lot of you guys will start off with a small practice. So is it necessary to get a receptionist? Do you need cleaning staff? Do you need admin staff? What are you paying them? Do you really need them, or are you able to manage your practice by yourself? So then supply versus demand that you also want to look at. Is your targets being met? Is your target marketing being met? Is the service living up to the standards? But who set those standards? Is HPCSA and SASP happy with you as an intervention practitioner? And feedback from your clients, because at the end of the day, besides advertising, they are your best advertisement. And it will follow you wherever you go. So in general, you want to have a look at private practice. Okay, not only money comes first, so you also want to look at patients, and then striving for excellence, because if you want to go further on your practice, expanding your practice, your clientele is very important. Okay, then we want to look at something called the gentleman's agreement, and that you guys should be a bit of aware of what is a gentleman's agreement. So, gentleman's agreement is an informal and legally non-binding agreement between two or more parties. So normally it's made by oral, it could be written, or simply just made aware of and understood. So both of these parties just agree to a certain things that they have spoken about. And the essence of this agreement is that it relies on the honors of the party for its fulfillment, rather than being in any way reinforced or enforceable. So based on trust. Now, what we're talking about here is, so you guys might be renting a place, but they don't want to create a lease. So what they do is they do a gentleman's agreement and say, hey, you can start your practice here for 6 months. I give you permission, you can start working, and then you move in and you start working. And the good thing about this gentleman's agreement is that you don't need a month's notice. There's no contract, there's no binding contract, but that's a double-edged sword. So either party could terminate this gentleman's agreement in short notice. So this could also be something that you can look at for your employment. If you are employing someone short term, we call them locums, then you can also look at that. And then also, but it's best to have a contract drawn up, so then they know how much hours they have to work, how much money they're getting, etc., etc. Yeah. Then the advantages of private practice. So it's a more personalized experience of treatment. You can choose which field you want to go into, whether you want to look into NMS or sports or ortho or peds. You can create your own your practice based on that. And then this advantage, as you know, opening a private practice is very expensive. You guys already did your budget plan, so you can just see how long it will take to gather your first capital, or if you have your first capital, brilliant. But how much it actually really costs to have a private practice, also start a private practice. So the advantages for private practice for physios, it's excitement and personal challenges. You become independent and you have a direct link between effort and rewards. The more you work, the more money you'll get. And also you get your flexible work schedule. If your practice is not that big, you can book your patients according to when you want to see them. So you can either see them from 9 to 12 or 1, or you can see them from 1 to 5, depending on what you are looking at. So if you work in a private practice, you may feel like that you're isolated from the other placements because you'll be getting patients from the hospital. And then also your CBD points. As you know that once you graduate after your ComServe, you will need to do CBD points, which looks at about 30 a year, which 5 of them has to be ethics related. Um, and then also during the initial period, you will have to work long hours to establish your business. You probably have to do a few free services where you have to advertise yourself, maybe go to the sporting schools or the running clubs, and then advertising yourself, and then going from there, developing your first set of clientele, and then going back to your practice and having a snowballing uh, type clientele. And there's no guarantee that you will have income, so you only get paid on what you have done, and sometimes their medical aid is dry, so therefore even when you try to claim from them, they can't pay you. And then you have a financial plan for your own pension and sick pay scheme if you are going to be going big or going full-time into your practice. Um, and then obviously you have your overhead, so even if you don't get clients, if you don't get patients, you're still going to have to pay for them. So it's a bit different in a government hospital. You always have work, you always get paid, uh, but in your own practice, some good months and sometimes bad months. So yeah, and that is it.